Very important Governor General, very cruel Governor General. So much of discussions is there under Lord Lytton, and in fact, Lytton's reactionary policies are actually the reason for emergence of nationalism, and that culminated into the formation of Congress in 1885. So already we have discussed about 1857 universities were established, 1853 railways. So already nationalism is emerging, people are able to understand now there is something which is common, right? And also, it was coupled with reactionary policies of Lytton. Nationalism emerged, reached at its peak, and that resulted into the formation of Congress. So that we will discuss. So there was a so what is this period? 1876 to 80. This is the time of Lord Lytton. Okay. So if you see, during 1876 to 78, there was a great famine in the central part of India. Okay, so what do you mean by famine? Famine means acute shortage of food. Acute shortage of food. It can be based on natural reason or it can be man-made reason. Natural reason means it could be because of lack of rain or anything. Man-made means it may be because of the government policies. It can be because of wars, etc. So it can be natural, it can be man-made also. Okay, so now here when we discuss about this famine, it was clear that it is not natural, it is man-made. So actually there was a debate which is going on. The debate was between nationalists on one hand and the government on the other side. So the argument of nationalists is like this: the policies of the British actually made the people poor. Okay, so it is the policies which made people poor. Now people are poor. So what will happen? When you're poor means your purchasing power will come down, right? So purchasing power will come down drastically. When the purchasing power is coming down, even there is a small variation in the prices, it is going to affect you very drastically. So you can see during this corona situation itself, many people have lost their job. So their purchasing power is coming down. At the same time, imagine a situation, the price is increasing compared to the previous level. So it is a compounding effect, right? On the other side, price is increasing. On this side, the salaries are coming down. So this is going to reduce the purchasing power like anything, and you have to sacrifice something. So that is the argument of the nationalist. So the acute shortage of food was there. It is because of the policies of the British. The British policies made the people poor. British policies of what? High rate of taxation, etc., which made people poor. And even the small variations in the prices will make people unaccessible with the food. Okay, so it is drastically affecting the purchasing power of the people. So that is a nationalist argument. On the other side, what the government says is there was no rain and the famine is because of drought. Okay, so government says it is because of natural reason, but nationalists, in fact, it is clearly the man-made reason only. It was because of the poor policies and also the implementation of policies. Okay, and more than this, in fact, in this famine, more than 25 lakh people perished, and more than lakhs of animals died. But more than above all, the government behavior, that is what actually angered and annoyed the nationalists. So you can see here millions of people are suffering without food and people are dying, animals are dying. But in 1877, okay, in 1877, there was a Delhi Darbar. Okay, so what is this Delhi Darbar all about? The Queen Victoria was visiting India. So this Delhi Darbar was actually to give a warm welcome to the Queen Victoria. And in fact, all the local kings and local rulers participated, and huge amount of public money was spent. So those local rulers went with all these gold, silver, so much of precious presents by spending too much from the, by spending too much of money, right? On one side you can see millions of people were suffering, on the other side spending money like anything to welcome the queen. And in this Delhi Darbar, the queen was declared as Empress of India. Empress of India means Queen of India. Queen of India. Okay, so and was given a title of Kaiser-i-Hind. Kaiser-i-Hind means Kaiser is actually a Persian word. It means Caesar. Okay, it is actually Kaiser is a Persian version of Caesar. In fact, this title was given to Mahatma Gandhi also when he was in South Africa. So what I want to tell you is, on one side, millions of people were suffering, and on the other side, too much amount of public money was spent to welcome Queen Victoria. And in fact, the local rulers are spending like anything for this welcoming because she made a promise in Queen's proclamation, and that was kept till now, 30 years, and it was expected that to keep for long time. Okay, so to appease the Queen, they have given this kind of welcome so that you can appease the Queen so that there won't be any further annexation. Okay, so I hope you understood this point. This is about the famine, and this also angered the nationalist. Secondly, okay, now once we discussed about famine, I'll discuss one more concept here. After the famine, a famine commission was appointed. Famine commission was appointed, and it was headed by Richard Strachey. So famine commission was appointed by whom? It was appointed by Lytton. Immediately after the famine, the commission was appointed by the then Governor General or Viceroy, that is Lord Lytton. Okay, and Richard Strachey was the head of the famine commission. But the famine code was drafted during the time of Ripon. So this has to be kept in mind. Appointed by Lytton, the code was drafted under Ripon. So since we have discussed about famine commission and famine code, I can either discuss this under Ripon also, because we need to discuss other things related to Ripon, but we will discuss it here. So the famine code was in 1880, and 3 points is what you need to remember here under the famine code. Firstly, it is some relaxation. Okay, firstly, if you have 50% or more crop failure, 50% or more crop failure, then you don't want to pay tax. So no tax in those areas where there is 50% or more crop failure. Secondly, the government will provide food to people in the famine affected area. So the government will provide food to people in fact, government will provide the work, and in return will provide the food. So you can see this is the first food for work program. Later we will discuss about food for work program in economics, but here this concept is similar to that only. First food for work program. Government will provide work, in return will provide the food. Okay. And the third one, the government will provide fodder for the animals. So these are the 3 points which you need to discuss under famine code, which was drafted under Lord Ripon by Richard Strachey. Okay, so appointed by Lytton, famine code was drafted under Ripon. Okay, the head was Richard Strachey. The famine commission, Richard Strachey. So these are the points under famine code. Now, one important fact that we need to discuss under Lord Lytton, in fact, not 1, 3 is there. We will discuss in that order. First one was related to Arms Act, and these are the controversial ones. Arms Act, second Vernacular Press Act, then lowering the age of civil services. All these are, affecting the nationalist interest. We will see how is it affecting the nationalist interest, angered and annoyed the nationalist, and you can see nationalism is emerging during this time, and that culminated into the formation of Congress in 1885. So if you get a question on the reactionary policies of Lytton, you can write all these, or if you get a question on formation of Congress, not just write about the theories that we are going to discuss over there, the lightning conductor theory, etc., but you need to talk about the nationalism, emergence of nationalism from 1853 onwards, railways onwards, 1857 universities onwards, 1870s, the policies of Lytton. All these are the reason for Congress. Okay, so when it comes to Arms Act, what is this? Arms Act is actually related to the license to possess arms. Okay, if you need to possess arms, you need license, and to get this license, there are certain rules and procedures, and this was made slightly difficult for the Indians. But the same was relaxed for the English. So when it comes to Arms Act, the point is the license to the rules to possess or rules to get the license to possess arms was difficult for Indians and it was relaxed for the English, and it is discriminatory. So nationalists actually went against it. Okay, so you can see the interest, the nationalist interest is affecting. So, and why it is done? What is the objective of this Arms Act from the English side? Because they want to discourage the Indians to possess arms. So under Arms Act, it is basically the license to possess arms. If you need to get the license, it became more tougher. It became more difficult. You won't get the license so easily. The rules and the conditions is made tougher for the Indians. But the relaxation was there for the English, and it is discriminatory. That is related to Arms Act. Okay, so that is related to the license to possess arms. To get the license, it is difficult for Indians, the rules and procedures, but easy for English. So that is discriminatory. So here you're talking about discriminatory. Second, Vernacular Press Act. So what do you mean by vernacular? It is a local language. So Vernacular Press Act means if you need to publish a local language newspaper, it has to pass through some censors. You cannot directly publish it. Okay, so basically some censorship was imposed on vernacular languages. Okay, so again, this is discrimination. For English language newspapers, there is no such restriction or censorship, but it was imposed on the local language newspapers or the vernacular language newspapers. Again, this created problem, discriminatory, because you see, this is again going to create big problem because intellectuals at any point of time, they demand what? Freedom of speech and expression, right? So it is actually a major blot towards this right, freedom of speech and expression. So intellectuals at any point of time will fight against this, and you can see history repeat. So 1878, all these things are happening, and exactly after 100 years, during Indira Gandhi time also, censorship will be imposed on newspapers during the national emergency. So Arms Act, I hope you understood. If you need to possess arms, you have to get the license. The procedure to get the license became tougher for Indians. So nationalists went against it. That is the first point. Second, Vernacular Press Act means vernacular language newspapers, the local language newspapers, if they want to publish it, they have to pass through some censors. So the censorship was imposed on local language newspaper. That is also discriminatory because the same was not applicable in case of English language newspaper. So the nationalists went against it. Thirdly, very important one, lowering the age of civil services. So till then, the age requirement was 21. Now it was reduced to 19. Now when I'm talking about 21 and 19, this is not the minimum age. It is a maximum age. So maximum age to appear in the civil service examination was 21, reduced to 19 with a minimum qualification of being a graduate. That means you have to be a graduate, and then the maximum age limit is 19 if you need to enter into civil service. So you see, Indian education system, it is impossible for you to become a graduate at the age of 19. Even 21 also. How many of you are graduate at the age of 21? No. And if it is a professional course, forget about 22, 23, 20. You may, if it is medicine like that, you cross 24 also, right? So that was the system in India. So it was very difficult. So it actually affected so many aspiring civil servants. Okay. And in fact, if you see the Congress, initial Congress leaders are actually from the aspiring civil servants only. They were not able to appear for this examination because of this restriction. So age limit was reduced to 19. So it affected so many. Already we have discussed about 1857 universities established. So Macaulay Minute also we have discussed. So a strong middle class is emerging, and this middle class want to have the lifestyle of the, civil servants, and in fact they want to become one among that. So when you impose this condition of being a graduate and the maximum, see, obviously still some Indians were able to enter, but still it was very difficult, right, being satisfying this condition. So that also created problem. And you can see almost all people who cannot write exams. They went against the government and they became the initial nationalist. And all these people actually formed the Indian National Congress. So the point is the nationalism was on the rise during this time, mainly because of the reactionary policies of Lytton. So much of reactionary policy, famine, the behavior of the government during famine, right? Millions of people were suffering, but the government behavior was total ignorance and Delhi Darbar by spending huge amount of public money. Also, Arms Act. What is this? License to possess arms became tougher for Indians, or the procedure to get the license became tougher for Indians. Same law was relaxed for English, discriminatory. Vernacular Press Act, vernacular language newspaper censorship was imposed on that, discriminatory. Third one, lowering the age of civil services from 21 to 19 with a minimum qualification of being a graduate. So many aspiring civil servants now became part of Congress. We'll discuss about this later. Okay, so these are the main events that we need to discuss under Lord Lytton. In fact, why 1885 Congress formation is there, the trigger was here during this period. 1853 railways, it connected India, it shared the commonness and the common culture and all these ideas. 1857 universities established, okay, but these policies, these actions, the reactionary policies of Lytton mainly led to the formation of Congress. Okay, that's enough for today. We will discuss about Lytton, done with Lytton. Ripon and all will discuss tomorrow. Any doubts? We can discuss now.